Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Malawi's ex-president Peter Mutharika returns to power in a decisive win over incumbent Lazarus Chakwera. Also, hundreds of women from across Nigeria turned out to the capital Abuja this week to stand alongside a push to introduce a quota for female legislators. It's an ambitious ambition, and I speak to one of the advocates for the change about why it's more necessary than ever. And in the Republic of Congo, young people are putting themselves on the front line of protecting their coasts. Many banding together for a program that comes down hard on the plastic waste polluting their shores. But first, there were celebrations amongst supporters of Malawi's ex-president Peter Mutharika on Wednesday as his rival, incumbent leader Lazarus Chakwera, conceded defeat over last week's vote. And Mutharika clinched his return to power with 56.8% of the vote in an election that had been dominated by the skyrocketing cost of living. But even before official results were out, Chakwera announced that he'd called Mutharika to congratulate him and wish him well on his comeback. Chakwera's MCP party had claimed that there were irregularities in the polling and had made calls for the Electoral Commission to delay the release of results. Now, those, though, were rejected. And in his concession speech, Chakwera said that the anomalies did not mean that Mutharika's win did not reflect the will of the people. And his fuss-free approach to losing has not gone unnoticed.
I think this is unprecedented, and we must commend the outgoing president for that move, because we do not see such things happening in Africa, because there are always irregularities and presidents will not come and concede even before the final result has been made.
So it's a protest vote number one on the management of the economy. Look, for the past couple of months, inflation has been rising rapidly. So currently, as we speak, it's slightly over 28%. And the food inflation is now somewhere around 33%. And when you aggregate these factors, it speaks volumes about the levels of discontent that Malawians have had in as far as the management of the economy is concerned.
Well, Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi told the world's leaders gathered together at the UN General Assembly in New York that the rebel crisis that's increasingly destabilized his country this year amounts to a silent genocide. M23 fighters, backed by Rwanda, seized major cities in DR Congo's east at the start of 2025. Thousands have since died and hundreds of thousands been forced from their homes. France is due to hold a summit on the humanitarian emergency in DR Congo in October. Meanwhile, Tshisekedi says the roots of the damage to his country run deep.
For the past 3 decades, peace and security have been shattered in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. This war has turned into a predatory enterprise. It has long gone beyond military or political dimensions alone. It aims to plunder our resources, erase our collective memory, and destroy our communities. In several regions of the East, all the signs of a plan of extermination are present. The United Nations itself, through its mapping report, has documented the extent of the atrocities. This is not just a conflict, it's a silent genocide that has been afflicting the Congolese people for more than 30 years.
Well, hundreds of women from across the country turned out to the Nigerian capital this week to stand alongside those spearheading a push to introduce a quota for female legislators. Currently, only 4 senators out of 109 and 16 out of the 360 members of the House of Representatives are women. Now, the special seats bill, as it's called, would add 1 woman-only seat for both the House and Senate in each of the country's 36 states, plus the federal capital territory. But it is an ambitious push that has run into hurdles before. To break it all down, with me now is Brenda Anugwom, who is the head of the Nigerian Women's Trust Fund. Brenda, thank you so much for making the time to speak to me. Now, as I mentioned before, there have been attempts to bring in bills like this before. They've not got very far. What's behind this latest push? Why now?
Thank you so much, Georgia. So in 2022, the gender bills, as they were called, were thrown out of the National Assembly, perhaps because they were not ready, or perhaps they saw certain words like equality. But right now, there is a bigger push because we have more support, we have more he for she's, and we actually have support from the principal officers within the National Assembly. For instance, the Deputy Speaker. So that's what makes this one very special.
So there have been a decline in the number of female political leadership over the last 15 years or so. Why? What do you put that down to?
So honestly, I really can't put a finger on it, and I cannot say that the electorates do not like women. But the way we have seen it, the trajectory, it shows that we may not have any woman in the Senate in the next assembly if nothing is done this time around. And because of that suspicion, because of that fear, that's why we are putting everything, we're using every resource we can get to ensure that this bill is passed. I know it's pretty ambitious, but we have seen other countries on the continent use laws to get more women into the political space, and that's exactly what we intend to do this time around. We don't know why the numbers are declining, but we won't let it decline further.
And what kind of impact do you think it will have on Nigeria to have more official political leadership from women? Because, I mean, it's a country that, at least in my circles, is notorious for having some very accomplished women at every level of society shaping the country. So their exclusion from political leadership seems to be a pretty, I mean, imagining a very impactful absence. So what do you think would change should you be able to address that?
Absolutely. We have very accomplished women, well educated, and we have very bold women who can stand toe-to-toe with any man. What we don't know is why we don't have such women in the leadership space. So what we intend to do is to ensure that the space is opened up for more women, because we intend to have more policies and legislations that have a human face. We also want women who will be speaking up for us when women issues come up, because we can't have men deliberating on the rights of women to give birth, anything around birth justice. It should be a woman's exclusive preserve. So we want more women who will be there to speak for us. And finally, development is faster when you have more women in the leadership space. And we need to develop in this country.
Do you think that your task, your goals have been made easier or hindered by the attention that was attracted earlier this year by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduogan, who was actually suspended from the chamber after she accused the Senate president of sexual harassment? Did that whip up the kind of attention you can use to your advantage, or did that set you back at all?
So far, it has had no effect on this bill specifically, but I'm hoping that the he for she's will not relent. I hope they will not sit back. I'm hoping that nobody will turn around or turn their backs on this bill. We've come so far. We cannot go back right now. These allegations, how unfortunate, rather unfortunate, we won't let anything draw us back. Irrespective of what happens, we still will continue to advocate for the passage of the reserved seats bill.
Thank you so much. Brenda Anugwom, the head of the Nigerian Women's Trust Fund, speaking to me about the push for more female political leadership and seats in the House and Senate in Nigeria. Meanwhile, Guinea's Prime Minister says that voters' backing of a new constitution will help keep plans for legislative and presidential elections on track. Amadou Uri Ba says that those key polls will happen this year. And the country has been under military rule since a 2021 coup. And Sunday's vote for a new constitution that would allow junta leader General Mamadi Doumbouya to run for president returned an over 89% yes vote. Many Guineans say that they're keen to move forward.
We think the results are very good. You know, a country cannot live without legislation. We needed to vote in the referendum to move out of the transition and into an electoral regime.
We're very happy with the result. We really want the country to move forward, to progress in the right direction with development. We want young people to get jobs and infrastructure on all the roads, because that's the big issue for us. There's huge traffic.
Well, in the Republic of Congo, young people are putting themselves on the front line of protecting their coastal environment. Many have banded together for a program that comes down hard on the plastic waste damaging their shores. Take a look.
Standing before the ocean, these young people are receiving their final instructions before getting started. Rubbish bags in hand, they're setting out to clean up the plastic waste that clogs the coastlines in the Republic of Congo.
Cleaning up the world, cleaning up the Congo, cleaning up the beaches. Taking action in the fight against plastic pollution is important and is one of the priority actions in the context of environmental protection and biodiversity preservation.
Every year, between 50 and 200 tons of waste pile up on this fine sandy beach in Pointe Noire. There are plastic bottles, plastic bags, old bits of plastic packaging. For this young biologist, there's an urgent need to act.
I'm here because of my passion, because I want to protect what I've learned over many years at school, protecting the environment. Picking up litter raises awareness, educates people, and makes them see. So when these people see us doing this kind of thing, they think, oh, they're doing something about it.
Specialists say that this pollution is destroying the Congolese mangroves, a unique ecosystem essential to the proper functioning of the coastline.
We talked about the mangrove forest, and they understood that this ecosystem must be preserved. Not only do we preserve it because it plays a role in fish reproduction and feeds certain animals that live around this ecosystem, but it also acts as a barrier for the people and homes behind it.
To learn more, the young volunteers visited the Natural Sciences Research Institute in the capital, Brazzaville. With barely 9% of plastic waste being recycled every year, thousands of tons of plastic pile up in the Republic of Congo's rivers and beaches.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks for joining us, though, and do so again if you can. Till then, take care.
The unit was doing a lot. So for them to leave, they will leave us in the sun. You know?
Since the funding freeze, we are unable to go to the community to provide the service.
To make money or to have money, we have to work in agriculture because then we have sustainable options.
It's high time Africa started trading amongst ourselves. In that way, we will not be subjected to transactional precedents.
A new episode of Reporters. US aid cuts, Malawi in shock on France 24.